What's going on, guys? It's another episode of Halo Talk Tuesday. I'm your host, AkaNotToday. Joining me today is...
Interstell?
And I'm Razz Pitazz.
So, today we have some pretty interesting topics to discuss. I think you'll really enjoy this episode. So, let's start with our first thing to talk about. Today we're going to be talking about firefight fixes, fixing the bosses and things like that.
Yeah, I've read that, a lot of people find that the final bosses, like the mythic bosses, tend to be a bit too difficult. And I don't really agree with that, but I haven't played much firefight, so there could be certain circumstances where this is the case. And so what I think they want to do is they want to go in and they want to tune these bosses to be not so much bullet spongy, but to still be difficult. Especially for like those people in pugs or in solo queue who don't really have the teamwork that it takes to be able to take these down very quickly.
Which is probably a good idea. I would agree with you. They are kind of bullet spongy. Several of the bosses, there's, I think on, with the map, it's the urban map. I'm not sure the name of it. But in the final round in one of those, there were 3 mythic temple wraiths, which were very, very hard and could pretty much 2-shot a tank, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I know when you and I were playing earlier, we had those 3 wardens, and one was a mythic warden, and it wasn't extremely difficult, and we had like a group of 5, I think, with us, but we had like 20 seconds left when we finally killed him.
Yeah, it does range depending on what map you are and different bosses. It's not really like one final round is good, and they can just tweak it depending on that one game mode or that one map.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be a good fix for pugs and people in solo queue, so they won't feel like they're getting stomped all the time just because they're not going in with a full team.
Another thing they're also thinking of fixing is, how you get harder bosses like at round 2 and 3 and stuff like that, because you're not really equipped to face hard enemies at that time. You're still at low rec levels and stuff like that, so I think they're also going and fixing that as well.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that one.
I really don't find that to be that difficult, honestly. I don't know, it's just... Maybe it's because I'm never in the fight at that point. I don't know. That's probably what it is.
I think it's one of those situations, kind of like how the garage was in the beta, where it's possible to do, but that early on, it's overly difficult for the stage that you're at.
True.
Yeah, you're just not ready for it.
Even the some maps, the garage and some of the bases are crazy. You still have just a wave of enemies that just continues to come. It's kind of annoying to me. But that was when I was playing by myself, so.
When I was doing the beta and I made the video for firefight and what changes I thought were needed to be made, I did comment on the garage because in the beta the garage was ridiculous, and I might have failed it like once, but you would have enemies spawning close enough to the garage that it was basically inside the garage and making it way too difficult for round 3. Where you basically had to get vehicles, and if you didn't have enough rec points for vehicles, then you will likely lose that round. So is it easier than that now?
I would say it's maybe about the same. I haven't actually played on a defend the garage kind of map. It's usually in one of the smaller bases. I'm not sure the name of those because I'm not good with names. But it's in one of those smaller bases, and you have a lot of foot soldiers that just flood in. It's just craziness.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
They've changed over to defend the armory a lot more than defend the garage, and that's very overwhelming, especially because if you get it at a later round sometimes, and you have that long spawn time, that can be really annoying and really hard, especially when it spawns you across the map too.
Also, one of the things I wanted to just add real quick was, since it's only a 5-round game, it just seems off to me. Like in the early rounds, you don't have the recs to get the higher weapons that you need for some of those better bosses, which they're gonna change. But then you really don't get enough recs, period, to face the hard bosses at the end. So I'm not sure if that's gonna change up when they make the bosses easier, or I would personally like them to extend it to maybe more like 7 rounds. It would make it more fun to me. That would make it more like a 30-minute game, but it'd be more like firefight.
Yeah, that was another thing I mentioned in my beta video, was that Firefight is supposed to be fun, but it's also supposed to be challenging the further along you get. And the discrepancy between round 4 and 5 is usually pretty big. You have a difficult boss. You have a difficult boss in round 4, and then in round 5 you have a ridiculously difficult boss. And I just feel like there needs to be like 1 or 2 stages in between that to kind of like fill in that gap so that it feels like a smooth curve upwards in difficulty.
Yeah, it does feel like you just get that big jump. It's like, you know, you're kind of relaxed on one round, then the next round you're just going crazy trying to do whatever the objective is.
Also, the bosses in Warzone and Firefight just seem like bullet sponges. Like, no matter what they're going to be able to do, it doesn't feel like they're going to actually be bosses. They're just bullet sponges.
No, they absolutely are, and a lot of people agree with that. Apparently, what you really need to do is whenever a boss shows up, you just need to get a vehicle that has firepower, so that way you can survive long enough to put all of the bullets into it.
Unless, of course, said boss can two-shot you in a tank.
Yeah, that makes things a little bit more difficult. You just need more vehicles. You just need more vehicles at that point.
And the tank's so friggin' slow you can't even move. I've been trying to get away from it.
Alright, so we're going to move on to our next topic, which is going to be Arena extending their season to 2 months. They're trying that out to see how that works, so we're going to discuss upon that.
I personally really like that, because I am a noob, I am not good at the game, and it takes me just a month to get Gold 4, which I'm out right now, full disclaimer. Which I like that. It's just because I had to focus so much on one game mode, I couldn't really jump around and just mess around if I wanted to, which was kind of a good idea, I think.
I like the idea, but it really just comes across as like a band-aid for me, you know? Everybody pretty much feels like the current ranked system is not working the way it was intended, and they're trying to catch up to it and fix that. And I guess we'll see if it works, but you know, everyone plays a rank, they play their 10 games, they get spit into a rank, and then they try to grind up, and then, you know, a little bit after that, the season's over. So the fact that they're extending it a whole other month is going to make people feel better about the ranks that they're getting and about the grind itself. But I'm wondering if it's actually going to fix the fact that all the ranks are kind of broken, because they treat Onyx as a competitive tier, which means you will very rarely get placed into Onyx. At the very best, you will get into Diamond and then have to grind into it anyway. And that's what a lot of champions have to do. They'll get placed high Diamond, and they have to grind all the way through Onyx just to get back to Champion.
Interesting point. I know that the ranking system is broken. I've heard a lot of people who have won 7 out of their 10 matches and gotten placed in gold, which is kind of dumb.
Yeah, I get placed in gold regularly, and I can grind all the way up to like low diamond at least. But usually at that point, you know, there's like a week left, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna mess around now. I don't feel like being competitive anymore.
True.
So I think the extra month will help in that facet. At least it'll help the competitive scene feel more worthwhile to invest in.
Yeah, it'll help more players want to play it for longer and grind harder, because they have more of a chance reaching that higher rank because they have longer to do so.
Yeah, and they won't feel like they just lost a rank when they get placed back into gold, platinum, diamond, what have you.
Yeah. Or silver, for some of us.
Or silver, or the mythical bronze that I just recently found out actually exists. when my nephew placed into bronze.
I don't think I've ever gotten bronze. I have gotten silver a few times. That happened.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, if you're bronze, you're bronze. If you're silver, you're silver. Everybody has to start somewhere. You know, a couple years from now, you probably won't be bronze anymore. It's all good.
You might be silver by that time.
What is the loot crate thing?
Okay, so what 343 is doing is that they've partnered with Loot Crate, and they have what is called the Halo Legendary Loot Crate, and I believe it costs $35. I've already purchased mine. Okay, it costs $40, and it comes out every 2 months. So you can get, you know, you can buy 1, you can buy 2, you can buy 3 up front. I believe the more that you purchase, the more money you'll save. That's pretty typical. But they haven't really revealed much about what's inside until recently. Recently, they did reveal that they have a new figure that's called a Halo Icon figure. And what they are is, I guess it's kind of like their version of a pop figure, but these are figures that stand on bases, and the bases can snap together, and the figures can come off the bases. And the reason I say that they're kind of like pop is because they're less like action figures, and they have like the large head, but they don't really look like bobbleheads. But in the first box, they revealed that the first two figures are just going to be a classic red and blue Spartan, just facing off each other.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Right, and they don't look bad. They don't look bad. They look good.
Like
so I'm kind of excited for that.
I kind of want to purchase a loot crate. Or one of those.
Now instead of spending $100 on the new headset, I might go buy the Tritons and then spend the rest of the money on that. I think I'm gonna do that.
So when
that's
does
not a bad idea.
I think that's a good
When's
idea.
its release date? Like, have they announced a release date for that one?
I think it's next
They
month.
haven't announced a release date, but yeah, usually the way Loot Crate works is you'll purchase the crate the month beforehand, and then they'll ship it the month later, or the month after you've purchased it, basically. And they don't usually reveal. Yeah, they don't usually reveal like any of the contents beforehand. But so I think 343 is doing this to get people like excited about it, to be like, yeah, this isn't just going to be a box full of crap. We're actually going to have decent stuff in here. Because some of the other things that they're putting in there, it's not really just for collectors. They have stuff for people that are into the lore, which I'm personally not really into the lore. I know some of it, but I know a lot of people are. To quote Grim Brother 1 directly, he said that sometimes there will be new fiction elements, there will be new fiction elements within each crate. Sometimes it might be similar to what you would find in a collector's edition game package, and other times it might be a bit more. And he did go on to say that the first crate will have a feature of a preview for one of the stories in the upcoming Halo Fractures anthology. So if you're really into lore, or the books, or anything like that, like the background, the history, you're going to have stuff in there too. So I really think it's cool that they're thinking of people like that. And on top of that, if you purchase the Loot Crate, you're going to be part of what they call Fireteam Apollo, which isn't a real fire team, but it's basically a community within the Halo community that will be exclusive to Loot Crate. And you will get in-game stuff for it, like an emblem. To start off with, and I believe in the loot crates they'll even have codes for free rec packs and stuff like that.
Oh,
I'm gonna go buy one now.
Yeah, what really intrigues
nice
me about this loot crate is the idea of the Fireteam Apollo and making this community within the community that is exclusive for the loot crate. And I'm interested in what effect this is going to have on the Halo universe at all, because now 343 wants everything to be canon, pretty much, And if I recall correctly, Fireteam Apollo was an old idea that they were going to use, and then they didn't for reasons that we won't cover right now. But, I want to know, what is this going to do? What else are we going to be able to do in-game with Fireteam Apollo? Are they actually going to have a story, or is it just going to be open-ended because, everyone's in Fireteam Apollo, so it's not that exclusive?
That's cool.
True. Our next topic is going to be Bravo with the 343 team has been promoted.
Barvo.
So that's pretty interesting. Did I say it wrong?
I don't know. I've heard it's Barvo.
No, it's an inside joke on the Reddit threads where you misspell his name Barvo, and it just kind of stuck. That's why on the last stream we had a shirt that said Barvo, please. And that comes straight from Reddit. There was a guy on the Reddit. Yeah, there was a guy on the Reddit forums who had designed that shirt, and he asked Bravo if he could send it to him and wear it on the next stream. And Bravo replied to him, and he was just like, "Yeah, man, you can send it here to the company PO box." And he sent it, and so he wore it on the stream.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah. But his promotion is somewhat of a mystery right now. No one really knows what he's being promoted to. Do we have any speculative ideas?
So, alright, so he was, like, community director? Or manager?
He was community manager was the official title.
Community manager, alright. And he's getting promoted So that means he's most likely leaving his community manager spot, but I don't know what he'd go to. Like, is there
He is
some
in
kind of
fact leaving
secret
the.
thing?
For all
He is leaving the community manager spot, and 343 had put up a official tweet, if you can have an official tweet, saying that they are taking applications from pretty much anyone to be the next community manager.
I got dibs.
Yeah. I'd like that job. That'd be nice.
I didn't really think he
Yeah,
was
so-
a very energetic community manager. Honestly.
Yeah, he was.
It's honestly hard to be
little
at
monotone.
first when you've. Yeah, I mean, when you're doing it for the first time, it's quite different because what you do is you're going to be monitoring forums even if you're not vocal within those forums, and you have to deal with the community on all aspects of social media. And I don't know if you've been on the Waypoint forums at all, but sometimes we can get a little hostile.
I'm not.
Oh,
I'm not
yeah.
frequently on the Halo forums just because I use it on my phone and it is slow as. It's very slow.
Yeah, it can get bad sometimes, you know. And when you're
True.
new to
So
that,
true.
it can be quite a shock. And I think the edge he had was the fact that he used to be a pro gamer, so he's used to like stress in general and being under pressure. So I think that's why they took him on, was for that specifically. But what I want to know is, what is he actually going to be promoted to, since his
Yeah.
experience in 343 is kind of limited to community manager? Has he been learning stuff on the side, or is he going to do what Jay did and just go lead a different department?
Yeah. And is it some kind of like special department that's gonna help better Halo, or is it just another department that's been around for a while?
I don't know. I do wonder if it could be like the pro team, but it seems like the pro team is pretty full, and Bravo doesn't have much input on that aspect. But he could have more input than he's been letting on.
True.
I honestly don't know enough about
Yes,
the
that's-
whole 343 team to say anything about that.
I don't
Well,
either,
that's
but,
pretty much like the
I mean-
only team that doesn't really fit in the whole game development thing. Everybody has, like, you know, artists and designers, level designers, multiplayer designers. Everybody has those, but Halo 5 is the only game I've ever known to have an actual pro team.
Pro team meaning
Yeah.
what exactly? Like just
The
an
pro
official-
team is a department within 343 where they've hired basically former pro gamers to advise them on how to put together their competitive scene, their arena matches, how levels feel and design, weapon balance, all that kind of stuff. And a lot of people seem to think that the pro team is the end-all be-all of what happens in arena, when literally they are just advisors. They don't control anything. They don't have any power. But the people at 343 recognize how important the competitive scene is for Halo.
may have gone a bit overboard.
They may have, but it's really hard to blame them when the only people left from Halo 4 were the social crowd.
True. It wasn't... Man, I could go on a rant about Halo 4 because the hit registration in that game was absolute garbage, but I'm not. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to say anything more.
Yeah, almost everyone and their dog could go on a rant about Halo 4.
Alright.
We will
Moving on.
talk about Assault Preview. So
Alright,
what
so
is
have
Assault
either
Preview?
have either of you played the Assault preview?
Nope.
I have not.
Okay.
It's all on you.
So
Razz.
you remember when Assault used to be in the game, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
that was-
Yeah.
Okay, so Assault, it was introduced in Hammerstorm, and then it was pulled basically for two reasons. The first reason it was pulled was because they felt it was unrefined. The second reason it was pulled is because none of the players in the HCS wanted to play it competitively. And 343 has been doing this thing in the past couple months where if it's not in the HCS, then it's not going to be in Team Arena online.
Mhm.
And so that's why there's a bunch of maps that have been pulled. That's why certain maps are only used for very specific game types. And that's also why there's no longer a Breakout in Team Arena, because the HCS players did not want to play Breakout, just like they didn't
Was-
want to play Assault.
Team Arena, or excuse me, Breakout was actually in Team Arena at one point? I did not know that.
Yeah, when the game launched, Breakout was part of Team Arena, and it was part of the HCS.
That's weird. That is weird.
That is what they said.
That, yeah. That just, that, that's, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, so yeah, they pulled it, and they said that they wanted to make changes. A lot of people didn't really believe them. They just felt that, like, Assault was going to be gone forever. But now they've released the Assault Preview playlist, which is unranked. It probably has, like, a hidden MMR. But it's there with some of the new changes that they're trying out, and what they're really looking for is, like, feedback through the forums and on Reddit and stuff like that. What they've changed is they've reduced the arm timer from 7 seconds to 5 seconds, so it's quicker to arm. They've decreased the radius of the base where you have to arm it, so it's a much smaller circle and there's less room to move around, which makes you a very easy target to hit, really. And then what they've done is they've gone through each of like 5 maps, I believe, to fix the spawns, the player spawns, because what they were having a major issue with in the old version of Assault is players who were having to defend would sometimes spawn way too far away to actually defend, or sometimes they were spawning way too close and it made the attackers basically pointless. There was no reason for them to attack because the enemy team was just spawning right behind them. And so they've gone through each map to try to fix this. And after playing a few matches, I would say that the arming timer change is great because it makes the game super fast. It used to be very slow, where the first team to basically get a point or 2 points would just stall out because it would take less time just to stall out the game than it would to score that final point and risk turning the ball over. The reduced radius of the arming area is pretty nice. I found it frustrating at first, honestly, because you don't have as much room to move around, and when you have the ball, you have double thrusters. You used to be able to just kind of like do a double thrust and strafe and be able to avoid all of the incoming grenades and bullets from the enemy team. And it's a lot more difficult to do that now. And what they've also done is they've increased how long it takes for the ball to be cleared. So your team cannot just pick up the ball and immediately clear it. I think they have to pick up the ball and take it out of the base entirely before it's considered clear. So that way, if the enemy team comes in, you picked up the ball, and they pop you in the face, they can just pick it up and go back from where they were, rather than just having to start all the way over again. And all of these really aid for a much faster experience in Assault. But the problem that I'm seeing are these spawn fixes, because some of them don't really feel fixed. I played Stasis. The spawns on there felt fine. Coliseum, the spawns felt a little weird. Like, they're pretty close, but I don't think they have it quite yet. But the spawns on Truth, honestly, are just whack out. They make no sense. There have been a lot of times where the enemy has been arming the bomb in my base, and I spawn in my base. And
wow.
I don't really think that makes sense. Yeah, and this is specifically happening on Truth. Yeah, I mean, and it's under the base, you know, they're arming it on top, and I'm being spawned underneath, so I do have to take the effort to at least get up there, but there's a lift, so it doesn't really take that much effort. So it really just feels like on that map, you're playing against the defense entirely. So that one is frustrating. The others are pretty close. So I think they're on their way to getting this one solidified. But again, if the pros don't like it and they don't want it in the HCS, then 343 is going to have to stick by their guns and not include it in Team Arena.
They could always just add it as a separate playlist, but it seems like they're very against having multiple different playlists.
Well, in all honesty, that just kind of brings me back to the stance that I've had for a while, where we need more social playlists. I've been wanting social objective playlists since the launch of Halo 5, because if you want to practice any of these game types, you have 2 options. You either go in Team Arena and hope for the best, or you play a custom game, and if you don't have 8 people to play a custom game with, well, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah. That's my biggest problem.
But yeah, that is pretty much it for the Assault preview. It's going to be going until July 22nd or 24th. I honestly cannot recall.
Those few
Look
little
at the
changes
calendar.
actually might convince me to go play Assault again, because I never really liked it.
I mean, it's more fun than it was, but it's not a completely different game.
Yeah.
It's just faster. It's just faster now. It doesn't feel as slow.
It did seem slow before.
But
That
all
was
the same
one of
tactics
my
are still
biggest
there.
problems with it.
Yeah, it's
So we're
much
just
faster now,
sluggish.
and especially with some of the map changes that they did beforehand, where they added like a spanker launcher on Empire. Feels better as a map, but especially for Assault, Rocket Launch evens the playing field so much more. But yeah, it runs until the weekend of July 22nd. It's either 22nd or the 24th, and then they're probably going to pull it again, make some more fixes, and update us later.
Yeah. So that's
Cool.
Sounds like a good idea that they put it as a social instead of just throwing it right back in arena to test it out again. So that's good.
Yeah, and even better, the team size is 4-on-4. It's not 5-on-5 crap anymore, which I'm
Really?
really glad that they did.
I
Yeah,
didn't know it was
because you
5-on-5.
cannot.
That's weird.
Yeah, any social mode that they did before that was initially 4 versus 4, like a Slayer or Fiesta, that used to be 5-on-5. And it didn't make sense to do that for a game type that was objective based like Assault. So I'm really glad that they just decided to do 4v4.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Alright, so we're going to move on to our next topic, which is Halo 5 moving back to the number 6 spot in most played. So that's a really big step for Halo.
From what I heard before, even before they did the free-to-play, for I think it was a week or something, it was higher than Halo 3 on the monthly play, monthly players.
Yeah, it's really good to see Halo rising back up instead of staying down where it was, as it used to be.
When it launched, it was pretty bad. The monthly players. I'm not sure we haven't been released any of the numbers or anything like that for this month, but I think it was a Reddit post that I don't remember the guy's name either. Revealed that Halo 5 is one of the 6 most played game of the month and the most played Halo game since Halo 3. I think I'm saying that right. I very well could be not.
I believe it was Bravo that made that post.
Well, good. You know names then.
Hi. Yeah, I take a look at Reddit every now and then. There's people that don't like me there.
I'm non-existent on Reddit.
Yeah, because I
think
saw
he's
that, and the comment I made was, well, it's really cool for that to come back to number 6 after the free play weekend, but what's it going to look like when people have to pay for the game? No one really liked that.
Yeah, I mean, they should look at the reality of what you're saying though. When it's
Well,
maybe
yeah, I
it's
didn't mean
only-
for it to be like malicious or anything. It's just
Yeah.
more like, okay, well, now that people actually have to invest in it, what are these numbers really going to look like?
Yeah.
Do people really think it's worth paying for? Like the people that don't already have it, do they actually think it's worth it to buy Halo 5?
Which is a
Well,
very
I
good
think the
point.
smart move that they did. I think the smart move that they did was putting it on the summer sale, right after the free play was done. So that way, if people were initially like, "Dude, I love this game. Why didn't I play it?" they can get it for half off and not really feel guilty about, missing out, and not really feel guilty, and not really feeling guilty of, if maybe they don't like it later down the line.
So our last topic of discussion for today is going to be about the new content browser that's coming out, which originally started in Halo 3, was in Reach, and now they have it for Halo 5, but you have to do it on Waypoint, and they're bringing it to Game so that you can actually do it from your Halo 5 disc or digital download. So,
Thank you, 343.
It's going to be coming to the Xbox One, and it's also going to be available for the Windows 10 version of Forge.
That's good.
yes,
Well,
I
that's
didn't
gonna
know
make
it
it
was going to be available
super
for the
easy.
Windows 10 version.
Yeah, it's going to make it super easy for forgers who want to use like an idea that maybe someone else had, but they don't want to like copy it. They just want to build off of it. Then they can just go find that map, delete what they want, and just keep what they like. And I think and it's supposed to be much simpler than what we have on Waypoint, but at the same time, it's also supposed to help you find exactly what you want, rather than having to sift through, 20,000 different Forge maps that are all reskins of a different map.
Which personally, I don't even think.
Have they? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Have they confirmed whether or not there's going to be like a most downloaded, such as there was in Reach and things like that?
They haven't mentioned anything like that, really. Yeah, they haven't mentioned anything specific at all, actually. They just said it's going to encompass more options. It's going to be available on Xbox One. It's going to be available on Windows 10. And that is pretty much it. Everything else is still somewhat mysterious.
Even just having the file browser on Waypoint isn't like it's obviously going to be much better to have it on the Xbox itself, but it is a lot easier to also have it on Waypoint, so you can for videos, YouTube videos that are featuring, they can just leave a link, which was pretty much where I get all my Forge maps anyway.
Yeah, but there are plenty of people, especially people who love to do custom games. I have a friend who likes to do custom games a lot, and if he goes, oh hey, I forgot about this one game that I wanted to try, instead of just getting it from inside the game, we have to go to the computer to do it, or use the phone at the very least. And that's a little bit more cumbersome than it should be if all you want to do is just get that one map that one dude made.
True. I kind of hope personally, I hope that they leave it on Waypoint, but as well add it when they add it into the Halo 5 on the game disc or digital download, that they also leave it on Waypoint for the leaving links and whatnot for content creators.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they will. I mean, they put enough time just to put it into the website. I think the most effort that they're really going to do for Waypoint is they might just replace it with the new system, which is probably just going to be the current system with more options.
Do you think that they might do something with this, like with Halo channel, turn that more into Halo Waypoint like it used to be, and be able to, bigger content creators can post on there, stuff like that. That way you can get a direct download from Halo channel to Halo 5 that way.
They might. It would be a good thing to look into. It could be in their pipeline, but not many people actually use the Waypoint app right now, and so what they would have to do is fix the current problems with it before expanding on it, and I don't know if that's really worth their time to do for a mobile app, especially one that not many people are using.
Yeah.
What about the one for Xbox, so the Halo channel app for Xbox?
That's the
like
same.
That. What if they were to connect it though? Does that have the same problems, or?
No, the one for Xbox doesn't have the same problems. I'm not entirely certain if it has the same functionality as the phone app or Windows app. I'm pretty certain it's the same thing. But I mean, those work fine, so they could include those if they really wanted to, and just kind of round out the ease of access for it. If you can access it from within the game, from on Waypoint, and from the web app or phone app, then yeah, I don't see why not.
I'm just curious why they didn't add the file browser to Halo channel so you could access it right on the Xbox itself, even though it wouldn't be in the game for when they added it to Halo Waypoint. I'm just thinking, why didn't they add it to Halo channel?
Well, the Halo channel didn't start out as a companion app for the Halo games. It was more of just a companion app for Halo in general. That's why you will see a lot of videos posted there and a lot of lore-related entries. They didn't start actually using it to promote the game until Halo 5, I believe.
You know how long it's been out?
The Halo channel, I believe, has been out since Reach or Halo 4.
It's a pretty good amount of time. I actually never heard about it.
Yeah, it's been out for
5.
a while. Yeah, it's not hugely popular, which is why I'm kind of on the fence onto whether or not they would include the file browser on that.
that's it for this episode of Halo Talk Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed, and let us know your thoughts on the topics that we discussed today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you all in the future.
Bye.
Bye. I think we did that one.
I think we good. I think we good.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna
I'm totally gonna add that little clip right there at the very end.